Welcome back to Tiny Ninja, the Hidden Lineage. The battle for the Tide Sanctuary has reached a turning point. Abyssal Prime, commander of the Dominion's Abyssal forces, has arrived with a single purpose: destroy the sanctuary and eliminate the Ember bearer. But Tiny Ninja, Akari, Kairo, and Ashara, and the Keeper of the Tide have chosen to stand together. They have faced the commander of the Abyss, and now the Sovereign itself has awakened. Let's continue. Across the ocean, Leviathan roared. The sound rolled across the water like thunder. The Tide Sanctuary trembled beneath the force of it. Tiny Ninja remained completely still. His sword was raised. The ember burned along its blade. Beside him, Akari tightened her grip. Kairo watched the ocean carefully. Ashara looked toward the enormous shape beneath the waves. Behind them, the keeper stood silently. Her face had lost its calm. Tiny Ninja noticed. "You're afraid?" The keeper didn't deny it. "Yes." Akari looked at her. "You've fought the Dominion for centuries." "I have." "And you've never been afraid of them?" The keeper looked toward the ocean. "Not like this." Abyssal Prime stepped forward. His massive armor glowed with blue energy. "You finally understand." Tiny Ninja turned toward him. "You're still here?" "I was ordered to remain." "By Leviathan?" Abyssal Prime nodded. "The Sovereign wants the Ember." Tiny Ninja's eyes narrowed. "Why?" Abyssal Prime looked directly at him. "That is not for you to understand." Tiny Ninja smiled beneath his mask. "Then I'll figure it out myself." Abyssal Prime raised his weapon. The keeper stepped forward. "Tiny Ninja." He glanced back. "His strength is connected to Leviathan." "I know." "No," she shook her head. "You don't." She pointed toward the blue energy pulsing beneath his armor. "That isn't merely power, it is consciousness." Tiny Ninja stared at the commander. "Leviathan is inside him?" "Part of it." Kairo's expression hardened. "The Abyssal Prime isn't just a soldier." The keeper nodded. "He is an extension of the Leviathan." Ashara looked toward the ocean. "So if we hurt him, Leviathan feels it." The keeper's voice became quiet. "And if Leviathan decides to intervene," she looked toward Tiny Ninja, "we may not survive." Tiny Ninja lowered his sword for only a moment, then raised it again. "Then we don't give it the chance." Abyssal Prime charged. Tiny Ninja met him. Their weapons collided. The impact sent a shockwave across the stone. Akari moved immediately. She attacked from Abyssal Prime's left. Kairo came from the right. Ashara struck from behind. Abyssal Prime blocked all three. Tiny Ninja saw the opening. He drove his ember blade into the commander's chest. A burst of blue energy erupted. Abyssal Prime staggered. Tiny Ninja pulled his blade free. A crack had appeared across the blue energy embedded within the armor. Kairo noticed. "That's it!" Ashara looked toward him. "What?" "His core!" The keeper nodded. "The connection!" Akari moved beside Tiny Ninja. "Can we destroy it?" The keeper hesitated. "Yes," but Tiny Ninja looked at her. "But," she looked toward the ocean, "if you destroy that fragment, the water behind them, if you just began to move," and she began to get more uneasy. "If the connection is severed," the ocean began rising. "Leviathan will know." Tiny Ninja looked at the enormous shadow beneath the waves. "Then it already knows we're here." The keeper's eyes widened. "No," she looked toward the ocean, "it knows much more than that." A deep blue light appeared beneath the surface. One enormous eye opened in the darkness. Akari whispered, "It's looking at us." Tiny Ninja raised his sword. "Good." Kairo looked at him. "Good?" Tiny Ninja smiled. "Now it knows where to find us." The keeper stared at him. "You don't understand what you're challenging." Tiny Ninja turned toward her. "Maybe not." He looked at Akari, then Kairo, then Ashara. "But I know who I'm standing with." Akari stepped closer. Kairo raised his sword. Ashara planted her feet. The keeper lifted her staff. 5 defenders stood between the Dominion commander and the Tide Sanctuary. Abyssal Prime raised his weapon. The ocean behind him continued to rise. Tiny Ninja's ember blazed brighter. "Let's finish this." Abyssal Prime charged. Tiny Ninja met him head on. Their blades collided, and the force of the impact drove Tiny Ninja backward across the ancient stone. Akari immediately moved to his side. "Tiny Ninja!" "I'm alright." Abyssal Prime swung again. Yorayaki ducked. Akari struck. Her blade cut across the exposed section of his armor, but the commander barely reacted. Kairo attacked from behind. Ashara followed. Abyssal Prime turned with unnatural speed and blocked both strikes. His size towered all 4 of them, standing at an 8 feet, 10 feet height with his armor. Kairo stepped backward. "He's adapting." Ashara nodded. "Every time we attack him, he changes his defense." The keeper watched carefully. That is the Dominion. Even though he is from the sea, he is still mostly machine. Tiny Ninja looked toward her. "What do you mean?" "Their greatest weapon was never their machines." She raised her staff. "It was their ability to learn and adapt." Abyssal Prime suddenly disappeared beneath the water. Akari froze. Where did he go? Kairo looked around. "Don't move." Tiny Ninja listened. Heard nothing. And the water behind them exploded. Abyssal Prime emerged. Racing with a fury, his weapon swung toward Akari. Tiny Ninja moved before thinking. He threw himself between them. The weapon struck his blade. The impact forced him to one knee. With a towering sword leaning against his, Akari grabbed his shoulder. "Are you all right?" Tiny Ninja looked up at her. "I'm beginning to think you owe me dinner." Akari smiled despite the danger. "You're buying." Tiny Ninja pushed himself upright. "Deal." Kairo looked toward the commander. "Enough joking." Tiny Ninja nodded. His expression became serious. "Agreed." The ember began burning brighter. Abyssal's prime blue core pulsed. The keeper watched it closely. "There." Tiny Ninja looked. "What?" "His connection." The blue energy within Abyssal Prime's chest had begun spreading through the cracks in his armor. The keeper continued. "Every time he draws power from Leviathan, the connection becomes stronger." Kairo understood. "Then we need to force him to use more." Ashara looked at him. "You want to make him stronger?" "No." Kairo pointed toward the unstable core. "I want him to overload himself." Yorayaki smiled. "Now that's a plan." The 4 warriors spread out. Abyssal Prime watched them. "You cannot defeat me." The sound of echoing voices came from a cybernetic, aquatic, abyssal machine, echoing and resonating within the heroes. Tiny Ninja raised his sword. "We don't have to defeat you all at once." Akari attacked first. Abyssal Prime blocked. Kairo struck. Abyssal Prime countered. Ashara attacked from behind. The commander turned. Tiny Ninja attacked the exposed core. Abyssal Prime blocked him. The blue energy surged. Tiny Ninja saw it. Again! They attacked. Again and again. Every strike forced Abyssal Prime to draw more energy from the fragment of Leviathan. His movements became faster, stronger, more violent, but the core was beginning to crack. The keeper raised her staff. "Keep him here!" Tiny Ninja shouted back, "Why?" "I need the tide beneath him." Akari looked at the water. "What are you going to do?" "Trust me," she laughed. "That usually worries me." Tiny Ninja charged. Abyssal Prime swung. Tiny Ninja jumped over the attack and landed directly against the commander's chest. He drove his Ember blade into the fractured armor. The blue core erupted. Explosions. Abyssal Prime roared in pain. Tiny Ninja was thrown backward. Akari caught him. The Keeper raised both hands. The water beneath Abyssal Prime suddenly rose. It wrapped around his legs, then his waist, then his arms. Abyssal Prime struggled. The tide held him in place. Kairo stared. "Now!" Ashara charged. Her blade struck the exposed core. The crack spread. Akari followed. Her blade struck beside it. Another fracture appeared. Tiny Ninja stepped forward. The ember burned brighter than before. He looked toward the Keeper. "Can you hold him?" The Keeper strained against the power. "For a moment." Tiny Ninja nodded. "That's all we need." Abyssal Prime looked toward him. For the first time, something resembling fear appeared in his eyes. "You don't understand what you are doing." Tiny Ninja raised his sword. "No." He stepped closer. "But I'm about to." The ember and the tide began responding to one another. Orange light flowed around Tiny Ninja's blade. Blue energy surrounded it. The two forces intertwined. Kairo stared in awe. The ember is synchronizing with the tide. The Keeper looked at Tiny Ninja. "Because you are the Ember Bearer." Tiny Ninja looked at her. "What does that mean?" The Keeper answered quietly. "It means the sanctuaries recognize you." Tiny Ninja looked around. The ancient symbols carved into the walls had begun glowing, one after another. The entire Tide Sanctuary was awakening. Abyssal Prime struggled harder. The Keeper's knees began to shake. "I can't hold him much longer." Tiny Ninja turned towards his companions. "Then let's finish it." Akari stepped beside him. "Together." Kairo raised his sword. Ashara followed. The Keeper gathered the last of her strength. The 5 defenders prepared themselves. But beneath the sanctuary, something moved. Something far larger than Abyssal Prime. The Keeper felt it. Her eyes widened. "Leviathan is coming." Tiny Ninja looked toward the dark ocean. "Then we have even less time." He raised the ember. "Let's end this." The heroes charged. Abyssal Prime unleashed everything he had. The blue energy surrounding his body exploded outward. Tiny Ninja raised his blade and was driven backward. Akari caught herself against the stone pillar. Kairo and Ashara were forced apart. The Keeper struggled to maintain control of the tide. Abyssal Prime broke through the water surrounding him. Abyssal Prime, "You cannot contain the abyss." The Keeper, "I don't need to contain it." She raised her staff. Keeper, "I only need to give them an opening." Tiny Ninja looked toward her. He understood immediately. Tiny Ninja said, "Kairo!" Kairo looked at him. Tiny Ninja, "Get moving!" Kairo nodded. He charged. Abyssal Prime swung. Kairo blocked the first strike, then another, then another. The commander was faster now. Much faster. Kairo was forced backward. Ashara moved in. She struck Abyssal Prime's leg. The creature stumbled. Kairo immediately attacked his shoulder. A crack appeared across the armor. Ashara, "His defenses are breaking." Kairo, "Keep going." Akari joined them. She moved with precision, striking every exposed section they created. Abyssal Prime roared. The blue cord inside his chest began pulsing violently. Tiny Ninja watched from across the battlefield. The ember was reacting. It wasn't simply burning. It was responding to the tide. Tiny Ninja looked at his sword, then toward the Keeper. Tiny Ninja, "You said the sanctuaries recognize me." Keeper, "Yes." Tiny Ninja, "Can I use that?" The Keeper looked at him. Keeper. You already are. Keep going. Tiny Ninja closed his eyes. He felt the ember. Then he felt the water. The ancient sanctuary. The people living within it. The generations of keepers who had protected it. He felt something. A connection. Not to power, to purpose. The embers suddenly burned brighter. Tiny Ninja opened his eyes. Tiny Ninja, I understand. He charged. Akari saw him coming. Akari, Tiny Ninja! She moved aside. Tiny Ninja passed her. Abyssal Prime turned. Uriaki struck. The ember blade collided directly with the blue core. The impact sent a shock wave across the sanctuary. Abyssal Prime staggered, but he didn't fall. Instead, he grabbed Tiny Ninja by the arm. Abyssal Prime, you carry the power of the Creator. Tiny Ninja struggled against his grip. Abyssal Prime, yet you know nothing of what you truly are. Tiny Ninja stared at him. He replied, Then tell me. Abyssal Prime paused. You were chosen long before you were born. Tiny Ninja froze. The ember flickered. Akari heard him. What did he say? Abyssal Prime tightened his grip. Abyssal Prime. The ember did not choose you. Tiny Ninja's expression hardened. Abyssal Prime. You were chosen for it. The Keeper looked stunned. Kairo noticed. Kairo. Keeper? Can you chime in here? She didn't answer. Tiny Ninja looked toward her. Tiny Ninja. You knew? The Keeper's silence was enough. Tiny Ninja's eyes narrowed, but there was no time to question her. Abyssal Prime threw him across the chamber. Akari ran toward him. Akari. Uriaki! He landed hard but immediately stood. I'm alright. Akari looked toward the Keeper. What does he mean? The Keeper looked at Tiny Ninja. Not now. Tiny Ninja stared at her, then nodded. Not now.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Focus tight, blade in hand. Stand alone, I make my stand. Mind stay sharp, heart stay cold. Tiny Ninja never fold. Blade mode, locked in tight. One clean move in the fight. No delay, no reload. Tiny Ninja blade mode. Blade mode.
Abyssal Prime charged again. This time the heroes were ready. Kairo attacked his right side. Ashara struck his left. Akari moved behind him. Tiny Ninja approached from the front. The Keeper raised her staff. The tide surged. Abyssal Prime was trapped between 5 forces. His core began to fracture. The Keeper. Now! Strike! Kairo struck. Ashara struck. Akari struck. Tiny Ninja brought the ember down. The core cracked. Abyssal Prime roared, shook the sanctuary. The blue energy exploded from his chest. The entire sanctuary shook again. Tiny Ninja was thrown backward. Akari grabbed him. Kairo fell to one knee. Ashara struggled to stand. The Keeper remained upright. Abyssal Prime stood in the center of the chamber. His armor was almost completely destroyed. The blue core was barely holding together, but then the ocean became silent. Everyone stopped. Tiny Ninja looked toward the water. A massive shadow passed beneath the sanctuary. Once, then again. The Keeper's expression changed. The Keeper said, It's here. Kairo stood. Leviathan? The Keeper nodded. The ocean beyond the sanctuary began rising. Abyssal Prime slowly looked toward the water, then he smiled. My sovereign. Tiny Ninja raised his blade. Don't celebrate yet. Abyssal Prime looked back at him. Tiny Ninja stepped forward. The ember burned brighter. Tiny Ninja said, "You're still standing." Akari moved beside him. Akari said, "Not for long." Kairo and Ashara joined them. The keeper stood behind them. Abyssal Prime's core began glowing brighter than ever. The keeper said, "Wait." Tiny Ninja looked at her. "For what?" She stared at the unstable core. Her voice became urgent. "If you destroy that core now," she looked toward the ocean, "Leviathan will receive everything that remains." Tiny Ninja looked at the approaching darkness. "So we have one chance?" The keeper nodded. "Just one." Tiny Ninja raised his blade. "Then we make it count." The 5 defenders moved forward. Abyssal Prime raised his weapon. The heroes stood together. Tiny Ninja at the front, Akari beside him, Kairo and Ashara ready on either side. The keeper behind them, holding back the rising tide. And beyond the sanctuary, Leviathan was coming. Tiny Ninja looked toward the keeper. "You said we have one chance." She nodded. "Destroy the core completely." Tiny Ninja looked at Abyssal Prime. "And what happens to Leviathan?" The keeper's expression darkened. "It would know exactly who killed its commander." Tiny Ninja smiled beneath his mask. "Then I suppose we're going to make an impression." Akari looked at him. "You really can't help yourself, can you?" "No." Kairo sighed. "Focus." Ashara smiled. "For once I agree with Kairo." Abyssal Prime charged. Kairo intercepted him. Their weapons collided. Ashara attacked from one opposite side. Abyssal Prime blocked her strike. Akari moved underneath his guard. Her blade struck the damaged core. The blue energy erupted. Abyssal Prime staggered. Tiny Ninja saw the opening. He charged. Abyssal Prime swung. Tiny Ninja ducked. The weapon passed over his head. Tiny Ninja drove his ember blade into the core. The blue energy exploded. Abyssal Prime roared. Tiny Ninja held on. The ember began spreading through the fractured core. Abyssal Prime. "You cannot destroy what belongs to the Sovereign." Tiny Ninja. "Watch me." Abyssal Prime grabbed Tiny Ninja. Akari immediately attacked his arm. Kairo struck his shoulder. Ashara drove her weapon into his side. The commander released Tiny Ninja. He fell backward. Akari caught him. "Still alive?" Tiny Ninja nodded. "Still alive?" "Good." She looked toward Abyssal Prime. "Because we're not finished." The keeper raised her staff. The tide surged. Massive walls of water surrounded Abyssal Prime. He struggled against them. The keeper's voice echoed through the sanctuary. "Tiny Ninja!" He stood. "Now!" Tiny Ninja looked toward the ember, then toward the tide. The two forces began moving together. Orange fire with blue water. They spiraled around his blade. Tiny Ninja ran forward. Abyssal Prime fought against the tide. Kairo and Ashara held him in place. Akari moved beside Tiny Ninja. Together they struck. The ember blade pierced the core. Akari's blade followed. The blue energy fractured completely. Abyssal Prime froze. The light inside him began disappearing. His weapon fell to the ground. He slowly looked toward Tiny Ninja. You do not know." His voice weakened. What you have awakened." Tiny Ninja pulled his blade free. "Maybe not." Abyssal Prime dropped to one knee. "But I'll learn." The final fragment of blue energy escaped his armor. Abyssal Prime collapsed. The tide sanctuary became silent. The commander of the abyss was dead. Kairo lowered his sword. Ashara breathed heavily. Akari looked toward Tiny Ninja. "We actually did it." Tiny Ninja nodded. We did. The keeper slowly lowered her staff, but she wasn't looking at Abyssal Prime. She was looking at the ocean. Tiny Ninja followed her gaze. The water had gone completely still. Then the horizon disappeared. A wall of darkness rose from the sea. It was enormous, far beyond anything the heroes had imagined. The keeper whispered, Leviathan. The creature's presence seemed to stretch across the entire ocean. Its eyes opened within the darkness. Tiny Ninja felt the Ember react. Akari stepped closer to him. Kairo raised his weapon again. Ashara did the same. The keeper remained perfectly still. Tiny Ninja looked at her. You okay? She nodded, yes. But her eyes remained fixed on the ocean. Then Leviathan spoke. Not through the air, not through the water, inside their minds. You killed my commander. Tiny Ninja stared toward the creature. I did. Silence. Then, Ember power. Tiny Ninja's grip tightened. I know you now. The keeper stepped forward. Leave them. Leviathan's enormous eyes shifted toward her. Keeper. The keeper's face became pale. You have guarded this place long enough. She raised her staff. And I will continue to. No. He said to her, you have guarded this place long enough. The keeper raised her staff and said, I will continue to. Leviathan's voice became almost amused. We shall see. The ocean suddenly erupted. A massive wave crashed toward the sanctuary. The keeper thrust her staff forward. The tide rose with her. A wall of blue energy formed between Leviathan and the sanctuary. The wave collided with it. The keeper struggled. Tiny Ninja moved toward her. Kairo! Kairo understood. He grabbed Ashara's arm. Everyone, help her! Akari joined them. Together they pushed their strength into the barrier. Tiny Ninja added the Ember. The sanctuary answered. The wave broke. The ocean fell back for a moment. Everything was still. Leviathan had disappeared beneath the water, but the heroes knew it hadn't left. Tiny Ninja looked at the keeper. You said this was only the beginning. She nodded, yes. Kairo looked toward the ocean. Then what happens now? The keeper looked at the four heroes. Now we prepare for war. Tiny Ninja looked toward Akari, then Kairo, then Ashara. Finally, he looked toward the dark ocean. Abyssal Prime was gone, but Leviathan remained. Unlike its fallen commander, it had no intention of underestimating them again. Tiny Ninja raised his Ember blade. Then let it come. Akari stood beside him. We'll be ready. Kairo nodded. We have the sanctuary. Ashara looked toward the people watching from behind them. And we have something worth protecting. The keeper smiled. Yes. She looked toward the tide sanctuary. And now we have hope. Far beneath the ocean, two enormous eyes opened once more. Leviathan was waiting. The battle for the tide sanctuary had entered a new stage. And the heroes had just made themselves the sovereign's greatest enemies. Thank you for listening to Tiny Ninja the Hidden Lineage. Abyssal Prime has fallen, but the victory has come at a terrible cost. The heroes have now drawn the attention of Leviathan, the sovereign of the abyss. The next battle will be unlike anything they have faced before. If you're enjoying the show, please support it through the link in the channel description. Any donations go toward improving the podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to YouTube at Tiny Ninja The Hidden Lineage for shorts featuring the characters, moments from the story, and more from the world of Tiny Ninja The Hidden Lineage. Thank you for being part of this journey. Until next time, walk in harmony, protect with compassion, stand with courage, lead with humility. Where hope endures, the hidden lineage lives.